We're now 29 days, 15 hours, 59 minutes, almost 50 seconds to the big day as the clock continues ticking towards the big day. But it appears political activities are indeed picking up as we've seen pockets of regular campaigns beginning to pop up. They've never been oblivious of the task ahead to occupy Aso Rock. Good evening. Welcome to the program. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Well, issues about snatching chunks of permanent voter cards, staying true to several peace accords signed in the country, and guaranteeing security for the elections all continuing to feature in the polity. Well, we'll make our rounds today and find out what else is happening with some of our correspondents who are on hand to bring us up to speed to concerning what's going on at their location.
I'm Emmanuel Ire, reporting from Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
Well, we'll bring you subsequent ones eventually on the program. But we'll also turn to the social media. Our web team provides several platforms for you to air your views on the program. Don't forget that you can tweet at us using the hashtag Nigeria2015. Well, please use the Twitter handle you see on your screen. Well, if you have comments or questions, do send us an email, Nigeria2015@channelstv.com. Well, as always, we will have our guests join us today. But first, we will be joined from our studios in Abuja via Skype by Mr. Catch Ononuju, who is a member of the PDP. Thank you for joining us. We'll come to you in a moment, Mr. Ononuju. Well, the thing is, the debate over deploying soldiers for the general elections continue to generate huge reactions in the polity. Well, they cite different laws to back their point, all of those who argue for and against that matter. Let's take you through some of what transpires across the country on the same matter. Well, let's start off with the ruling. Yes, so two courts did give some judgment about this one. Well, yes, the Court of Appeal and the High Court in Sokoto did comment on this matter. The judgments by the two justices, Justice Abdul Aboki of the Court of Appeal Abuja on February 16, didn't talk about saying it must be stated by way of emphasis that the armed forces have no role in the conduct of election and must not be involved except perhaps in the area of providing logistic services to the agencies of government in preparations for the elections. And then you have another, which was by Justice Mohammed Rilwan of the Federal High Court Sokoto on the 29th of January this year, where he did talk about saying, look, apart from protecting Nigeria's territorial integrity, there's no constitutional provision for the deployment of military for elections. That's part of what's generating huge concerns now for the use of the military in subsequent elections. But then, part of the text of that judgment, as some people have come to cite, even some lawyers also who argue on both sides of the divide, saying deployment of military for elections, no, not right. They use that word, look at that, illegal, as a matter of fact. And so they expect them to back off on that one. And then they also say that it is a violation of Section 217, subsection 2, paragraph C of the 1999 Constitution, and then Section 1 of the Armed Forces Act. And now the Armed Forces Act, they also eventually did cite Section 8 of that Armed Forces Act. We'll come to that as we progress and let you also see that. But then, having ruled on this one, INEC, remember, they've had several meetings, including the ones they had with several security agencies as well, concerning how they were going to help the Commission in conducting the elections and ensure a peaceful election. Now, INEC has meetings, or they've met, perhaps they will also meet with several other agencies. Part of them includes the National Intelligence Agency, the Nigerian Police, the State Security Service, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the National Youth Service Corps, the Nigerian Army. These are just some of the few agencies, security agencies that the Commission they have meetings with on a regular basis, and perhaps for these elections too. But then INEC was also quoted to have said, well, yes, the reason why we may need the military will only be for logistics support. Let's take a look at that, guys. Yes, the Commission did also talk about that. It won't be for mainstream election purposes. It will be for functions as logistics and all of those kinds of matters. So INEC did say only though if the occasion warrants that, and then they will bring them in. And like also did say the military will provide what they described as peripheral security. They will be on standby for rapid development, and then their role will be limited to providing logistics. That word pops up several times in their phraseology, INEC, and so even in the judgments also, which we cited at the beginning here. So perhaps in sync with those court judgments, but you have those who continue to argue. But the thing is, when this matter got to the floor of the House of Representatives, boy, it was tough. The arguments were strong and passionate also. The lawmakers stuck to their grounds, those who argued on both sides. Well, let's go to the development in the House of Representatives. Him, Honorable Sam Sokwa, a member of the People's Democratic Party in Taraba State, he had come to the House. I mean, yes, after Honorable Gbajabiamila Amala did move a motion about this matter. So he then pops up, Honorable Sokwa, to come to present what was supposed to be an advisory report, as a matter of fact, an advisory report of the Joint Committee, which was earlier assigned to study the correctness of deliberating on that motion. Remember, it was advisory, and it was a 5-page document which he eventually popped up to present. And then he read the recommendations and what they described in that meeting, that committee. Lots of people eventually forgot that, wait a minute, this is just advisory, because the way they responded to it was huge. Well, Honorable Sam Sokwa did say that, well, while the Constitution does not define the operational use of the armed forces,